Hey guys, Evan Chino. This is my post-game video for the Oklahoma game, and my mood during the halftime video is the same for my mood for this video. So Michigan ended up losing to Oklahoma 24-13, and Jesus, Michigan's offense did not show up in this game at all. It's just Michigan. I mean, basically what this is, Oklahoma just went out there. They proved that they were the better team. Michigan got exposed. Just to put it bluntly, to be completely honest, Michigan just got exposed. Like Bryce Underwood just obviously came back down to earth after his game last week against New Mexico. Now, obviously, we played a way tougher opponent this year in Oklahoma, and I think Oklahoma letting Brent Venables call the defensive plays again was a great move for them because, goodness sakes, Oklahoma's defense looks like the real deal. Like Michigan's offensive line was just getting bullied all game long. Like Bryce Underwood barely had any time to let plays develop because he was just immediately getting pressured. It was like your average play in college football 26. Running the ball just really wasn't really working most of the time. Justice Haynes had 19 carries for 125 yards and a touchdown, but he had a 75-yard touchdown run. Now, if you take away that touchdown run, he had 18 carries for 50 yards. His rushing yards look way better. His stats make him look way better than he actually did perform. Michigan just couldn't get the run game going at all. Oklahoma's defensive line was just bullying our offensive line. We couldn't open any holes for anybody. And then when we dropped back to pass, we weren't giving Bryce Underwood any time. Like I already mentioned, Bryce Underwood had an Anthony Richardson looking ass completion percentage. He went 9 for 24. Bryce Underwood threw 24 passes. Only 9 of those were completions. That is a 37% completion. That's a 37% completion percentage. That is absolutely horrible. And he went 9 for 24, 142 yards. That was it. He didn't throw a touchdown. The only positive I can think about our offense today was that we didn't turn the ball over. I'll give us that. Michigan's offense has yet to commit a turnover this year, as in throwing an interception or fumbling, which at this point last year, Michigan's offense had committed like 3 interceptions, but it's besides the point. I am not going to come on here and say that this was a complete, unexpected result, because I'm not going to lie. I have been saying, I don't think Michigan's going to win this game. I was saying yesterday, I said, I think Michigan loses. I said, I think it'll be close, but Michigan loses. I'm still a bit disappointed because, man, I thought Michigan's offense would have looked way better than what actually was put onto the field. You want to compare some stats here? Last week, Michigan had 452 total yards of offense. This week, they had 288. They went 3 for 14 on third down. Michigan only had 12 first downs compared to Oklahoma's 22. Oklahoma dominated us in the passing game, but Michigan actually had more rushing yards than Oklahoma. And it's because none of Oklahoma's running backs did much. John Mateer was pretty much their only threat running the ball, because honestly, John Mateer, all he had to do, if he could just take the snap, immediately start running forward, he would get a first down every time. Like our defense, even though we thought we would make halftime adjustments for Mateer's runs, no. He just kept continuing with the same success in the second half. It's like every single time we weren't expecting Mateer to just take the ball and run it himself. But John Mateer passing, he went 21 for 34 for 270 yards, a touchdown, and interception. Mateer did throw an interception. Michigan did get fortunate with that. It's not like a guy jumped a route. Mateer had a receiver wide open, but Mateer overthrew him, and there happened to be a Michigan guy at the right place at the right time to pick it off. Mateer was also their leading rusher. He had 19 carries for 74 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground. Mateer had 3 total touchdowns today. And their leading receiver, Deion Burks, man, they really, really liked reminding us that Deion Burks is from Michigan, and Michigan didn't give him any offers. But he really made them regret that because he had 7 catches for 101 yards and a touchdown. Our leading receiver was Donovan McCulley. He had 3 catches for 91 yards. But, man, is it just me? But, geez, how many times in this game was it that it felt like every single time Bryce would try to throw it to McCulley's way, it was incomplete. Either he threw a bad pass or he was getting covered. It just felt like every time he threw McCulley's way, McCulley didn't come up with the catch. Except the 3 times that he did. Penalties. Michigan did a lot better with penalties this time around. This last week they had like 8 penalties. Today they only had 3. Oklahoma actually had more penalties than we did. Michigan technically committed 4 penalties because we jumped off sides on a play in the first half, but Oklahoma declined it because they got a big gain. Which that's another thing. That happened a lot of times. The same thing continued from last week. They would do like some like cadence. The quarterback would do some cadence, like he would clap the ball or say something, and we would just jump off sides. It happened so many times. And a bit disappointed with the defense today. Let's get into the defense. I'm not going to come on here and say that the defense is why we lost, because that's not why we lost. If you want to point the fingers in any part of the ball, it's the offense. Offense, 100% reason why we lost this game. But the defense, the defense allowed over 400 total yards of offense, which is not good at all. But you have to say our defense did everything it possibly could to give us these opportunities with the interception that Mateer threw and all the stops. Like, Oklahoma was getting stopped quite a bit, and our defense was giving us opportunities for the offense to try to take the lead, but our offense never took advantage. And also to mention, Oklahoma had a muffed punt. We recovered, couldn't score a touchdown, had to settle for a field goal. Just really reminds me of last year's offense all over again. All of Michigan's points were scored in the third quarter. You guys already know, I already made a video. We were getting shut out at halftime. We were losing 14-0 going into halftime. It was the first time since the Wisconsin game in 2020 that we were getting shut out at halftime. We scored 13 points in the third quarter. The very first play, we got the ball to start the second half. The very first play, we give it to Justice Haynes, and he just breaks free for a 75-yard touchdown run. And our defense immediately gets a 3-and-out, and I'm like, okay, we're down 14-7. We have the ball, and then we just lost it. That was the only time in the game where I had optimism that we could, all right, we got the momentum, let's get going, but we just couldn't do anything. And man, what a horrible game from Chip Lindsey. Man, I don't know if you're a Michigan fan, please tell me if you agree with me, but I thought Chip Lindsey had a horrible game, had a horrible play calling in this game. There were so many times where he chose to do screen passes, and it was obvious it wasn't working. Oklahoma knew it was going to happen, and they had it perfectly covered every time, but we just decided to keep doing it. And then a lot of times where I felt like, we were being extremely conservative for absolutely no reason. Like the biggest example, the possession where we went 3-and-out and then we punted, but we were fortunate and got the ball back because they muffed the punt. We ran the ball all 3 times. The first 2 plays, we run the ball on first down, don't get much. Run the ball on second down, don't get much. So we're in like a 3rd and 7 situation. But instead of like, okay, well, we're going to throw, we just hand the ball off again. And Oklahoma immediately stops it. And I'm like, what is that play call? I'm like, that just tells me that they just gave up. If you have a play call like that, you just do like a simple play. I'm sorry, I view that as giving up on the drive, and it's just horrible. I hope Chip Lindsey better pick it up next week when we play Central Michigan. I was just extremely disappointed by Chip Lindsey's play calling today. Wink Martindale, man, this defense is getting off to a slow start. After how dominant Michigan's defense was in November last year, it made us think, wow, Michigan's going to have a great defense. It's just like last year again, where our offense really struggled to start with, and they got better. Is this going to be the theme with Wink Martindale for the future? We'll have a horrible start to the year on defense, but then we'll play elite defense 1 month of the year instead of all like 4 months. It's just very disappointing in the defense today, but I can't point all the fingers at them. Like I said, the defense gave us, our offense, plenty of opportunities to try to take the lead or tie the game. We just couldn't do it. But still, you allowed over 400 yards of offense for Oklahoma, so that's not a good outing on the defense. And even when Jay-Sean Barham came back in the second half, didn't really feel like he made a difference. And so many injuries. Like, I don't know if it was cramping or if it was just hot there in Oklahoma, but there were so many Michigan players getting injured tonight. Jay-Sean Barham himself looked like he was cramping on his calf. Giovanni El Hadi went down. We lost like 3 offensive linemen in this game. And other players on defense. Samaj Morgan looked like he may have suffered a concussion after he got hit during a screen pass because he just looked dazed getting up and then just fell to the ground, like trying to go back to the sideline. Looked like he got a concussion to me. But, yeah. Overall, very, very, very disappointed by Michigan today. I mean, it's hard for me to point out positives. Bryce Underwood, I will say he doesn't get scared under pressure, but it's really hard for him to throw on the run deep. Because there's a lot of times towards the end of the game where he was taking shots deep, but he was doing it while he was running. And I'm like, dude, you got to just stand still and just throw the ball. Because there's so many times we had a guy open deep. Of course, it didn't help that, Marlon Klein just didn't play because, God forbid, with these games recently, Michigan has their starting tight end play. But, which I thought it was weird. Unless if they announced it, I had no idea Marlon Klein was hurt until today's game. They said it during the game, Marlon Klein isn't in. I'm like, okay, I had no idea he was hurt. Unless if I was just missed it or something. But, yeah, Bryce Underwood, he threw a lot of incompletions. 37% completions is really bad. He threw 24 passes, only completed 9. That's like Anthony Richardson style right there. Now, I'm not going to say Bryce Underwood's horrible. He's a complete bust. I mean, this is his second ever game, and this is his first ever road game in this kind of environment. I wasn't expecting him to go out there and throw 500 yards and 7 touchdowns. But one thing that I would like to say, I really feel like we're not letting Bryce Underwood throw the ball as much. Now, I understand Michigan is a run-first offense. Now, and I know that's just how we've been, but to me, it's just like, why would you go out there and spend all of this money on a quarterback just for him to hand the ball off and do the same shit that, Alex Orji could come in and do? I just feel like we're not using him at his true potential. I really think Michigan needs to throw the ball a lot more often. I mean, maybe we'll experiment with that next week against Central Michigan. I don't know. I don't even know who our head coach is going to be. Sharon Moore is suspended the next 2 games for the sign-stealing scandal in 2023. So we'll see what happens. But this video's gone on long enough. Overall thoughts, very disappointed. I knew we were going to lose, but still felt like we could have done a lot better. Oklahoma, man, that defense could win them a lot of games this year. Oklahoma does not look like the 6-7 team they were last year. So what would happen if Alabama played them then? Anyway, but yeah, unfortunate. But at the same time, it's just absolutely crazy to me that despite all of Michigan's struggles today, This is the same team that's going to go out and beat Ohio State in November.